What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Weekly Cheddar, and welcome to those who found the new channel and are excited for some maybe more Packers content over here than you're used to, which is good. We got a special one tonight, 1 week before the draft commences. You may notice that one of them is not here yet, but I imagine he'll be tumbling in here shortly. We got Mike Kawano tonight. We have Brian Maafi joining us hopefully shortly. Brian just reacted to our chat. That's good. So I think he might know that we're live now. But yeah, Mike, you want to introduce yourself and plug your stuff real quick while all the work you're doing before we get rolling.
So, hi, I'm Mike Kawano back again with Ohana Packers Edition with my wonderful co-host, Iowa Joe. I'll list him as host because I'm the tag along. He's the one that runs everything. And we try to put together a good bunch of content over there. We're going to have our day 2 live draft coverage. And
heck yeah.
Hurry up, Brian. Yeah, just check us out over on Ohana Packers Edition. And we've got a bunch of good writers putting together a lot of content. And kind of like Jake's alluded to, everyone's just sharpening their pencils ahead of what's coming next week. So we're all excited for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. And it's football Christmas, right? What's going to happen is, obviously, it's now all Packers all the time over here on this side of things. So we'll be able to kind of dive into it even more. But yeah, I mean, I think let's start here because I know we had this conversation on Derailed a little while back of like the guys in round 1 that, Green Bay could eventually take. And I think it's a perfect time to, rehash this because, at this point we'll be about through, 7-8 picks because everybody's milking that time and all that stuff. And always a real slow start. This thing just moves like the tortoise early on. But I feel like we've moved to this, and I don't know. I guess, Mike, what you've maybe seen in the mock draft recently, but I think some people have started to pencil in Trey Amos as like, yeah, he's going to go round 1, and it's kind of like, well, I kind of scroll through the mock drafts I posted on Twitter, and I found one from like January 17th where Amos was the pick at 23. I'm like, no, we've been here. It's just weird that the simulator likes guys to tumble to 23 instead of him. Still a lot of Harmon up there. Still a lot of Shamar Stewart. You could take it any way you want with either guy any of the guys you want to start with. But is there still someone at this point you're like, yeah, this is the guy I want, or you can even take it, this is the guy I want Green Bay to pick, or I think they'll pick.
Well, the guys I want are I'm going to be a super homer about, but also they fit needs that the Packers need.
There's certainly that
could utilize. Yeah. So I'm going to go with my Wolverines. Shamelessly, I don't give a crap what you think. If Will Johnson takes a tumble down the board, unlike what a lot of people are saying, I do not think that his not running the 40 takes him off the board. It's a different situation because he's injured. It's not like he chose to not run it for the hell of not wanting to have a bad time or anything like that. It's a matter of he's coming off of, some soft tissue injuries, things like that. And, he did do the other testing at his private pro day and all that kind of stuff. But he's a guy that, you match the film, you match up what the testing he was able to do says. And really the only thing that's been disappointing for me in terms of his measurements is like his arms are shorter than I thought they would be. On film, He looks like this really lanky, rangy athlete. And it's like, oh, he's like kind of almost under average, for what his proportionality, for what you'd think his height would make his arm length be. But otherwise, he still plays big. He plays with strength and would give Hafley the ability to, do some of the things he did when he had Jair in his back pocket, which is like play a little more man, shut down one side of the field and do those kind of things. I know there will be a learning curve when it comes to the NFL, but the thing with, and I know that some will say like, he's got some injury, he's been dinged up and stuff, but for the most part, Will Johnson played when the games mattered, even if he was a little unhealthy. You saw that through the 2023 season. He had to leave the Ohio State game early, but before he did, he had an interception, almost had another one, later on in the game. And ironically, I think that's the play he got hurt on. Is he tried to again jump a slant off of a read option, and but you see the big playability. You saw it in the national championship game. You saw it with his 2 pick sixes this year. And that would be a player that would fit, is corner the top need. The way that they've attacked it this offseason, the way that they've kind of like the comments they've made, it does make you wonder like how high of a priority they really think, So whether you believe the Ja is out, Ja is coming back, is Ja healthy or whatever kind of stuff, the way they've attacked corner, the way they've continued to double, triple down, and we like the other guys we've got, it's like, okay, like, was corner ever really going to be a top of the list need this year? So we'll see. But also, like, Johnson was a top 10 pick coming into the cycle. Yeah. So if that guy falls for any reason, you're taking him, and it's like I liken it to Quignon falling almost to where we picked last year kind of thing. It's that kind of similar athlete, honestly. I hoped he would run like mid 4.4s, but honestly, if he ran a 4.5, that's more than good enough for me. He's kind of in the same boat as Thomas from Florida State, where I'm like, he's got enough speed on film. They know, and that's why I like Thomas too, is because it's like, they're both guys that know they're big. They know how to use the sideline as another, basically another limb as a coverage man, and they play to their strengths. And I don't want to say it mask their long speed, but they just know who they are and they know how to play to that. And then as your little subtitle, Loveland would be just like,
heck yeah.
It would, like, and I'm sure Maafi will go into it when he gets on here, but we've gone over and over on different mediums how, like, unless like Tet McMillan falls to 23,
sure,
and even then, would Goot really take a receiver in the first round? Like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. But I do think LaFleur and Goot are more willing to take a tight end in round one. I know that there's the whole thing about first round tight ends and all that kind of stuff, but the way LaFleur uses his tight ends and would use Loveland's kind of tight end, we've seen what he did with Musgrave as a rookie. I think, not that I've given up on Musgrave, but you haven't seen him play a whole season yet. And we both, on the previous time Brian and I were on, we've said that, I'm not discouraged. Like, I don't even know what word to put on his career so far. It's weird. It's like dog shit, bad luck. And I'm at the same time, I'm not like discouraged, because it's like, if you roll the like 20-sided die to see what his career outcome is to this point, I don't even know if I don't know how many rolls it would take to come up with, the lacerated kidney and the ankle injury that went from like, he rolled it to, he needs surgery. And it's like, we're all like, I remember we're all in the post, we're following up the post game, and they're like, we're just listening to hear, is it high or is it low ankle sprain? It's like, he needs surgery. And we're all just like, what? So,
okay, perfect.
Yeah. Great. So, like,
no problem.
It's not so much I don't mean to speak for you, but I think you and I are in the same boat, that we're not giving up on Musgrave, but it's insurance, because you don't know if it's going to play out. You reset the clock in terms of like, you have a similar guy in Loveland who's a better blocker. But you reset the clock on how much time you have to develop that guy. Musgrave could still hit, and if you have those three guys hitting within the next 2 years, you're gold. Like, but not having a definitive wide receiver one is not the problem if you have the three tight ends that you'd have out of that group. Like,
question.
And like I said, like, that's where it's like, I know that it's based on how Green Bay has picked, based on how Groot has picked, it's unlikely he does it. But the way this board, for Loveland or Johnson to fall to Green Bay, the board would have to go where the three techs go. Yeah. Like, Harmon is probably gone at that point. So then it's like the other corners are gone at that. Maybe Amos has gone before that point. So it's like you're staring in the face of, like, if you want a three tech, it's like, do you overlook the fact that Lorenzo Alexander is old for this class? Do you overlook that Nolan has, things that there's things in his character that haven't been, that have to be ironed out or, figured out kind of thing. It's sort of Nolan kind of falls into that Devontae Wyatt bowl. And so, we've kind of seen them pick that guy before, but also, will they do it again kind of thing. So it is the year where because of where the roster is, and I've seen a few people do it. I think Zach Cruz did it. Bukowski said it, where they said, like, as much as this team can use definitive infusions of talent at several positions, they're still at bare minimum, they're a playoff contender with the roster they've got right now. They're not like, oh my God, we need this draft pick position to come in and contribute this year. We don't, it's not like last year where it's like, we've got to hit on 2 of the 3 safeties we take this year kind of thing. So they're not behind the 8 ball at a position like that. Like, yes, you need Rashawn to step up. You need Lucas to take the lead. You want one of Kingsley, Mosby, Cox to take a leap forward and stuff. But you're not in a position where, like, oh my God, that one starting position is a total dud kind of thing. So that's where it's kind of almost exciting in this cycle because it's like, what are they going to do? And I think the only one is you're kind of like, you just don't want to be left with the pick going, the John Candy meme from where he's like, no kind of thing and stuff. So like that's that's literally it. But it does open the door that, like, maybe they will, for the first time since Bubba Franks or the first time since Javon Walker, because the board falls a specific way. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at this point.
Yeah, I think because obviously, and I was gonna kind of bring this up, and I probably will still in another video here, but like, the Brugler mock where it's like, oh yeah, Will Johnson's falling to 23. Like, oh yeah, sure. Like I would have 0 problem with that because again, it's like, okay. And however you feel about Pierce as well, obviously Pierce is another guy who came in as the top 10 pick. Like, oh yeah, that's gonna, he's up there, he's gonna stay up there, and obviously it sounds like he's not going to. There's gonna be some fall there. I think the difference between the two is, like, Will Johnson again has the size, has enough speed, but again, it's instincts, it's playing with using that size, ball skills, create turnovers, like all of that stuff. Whereas Pierce is obviously like, this is the 3-4 outside linebacker. Green Bay is he going to play Sam? Blah blah blah. I just don't really see how that meshes. Nothing against him. Again, he is win around the arc, is starting to flash other moves and do all that. But like with Will Johnson, it's like, okay, what has he done other than the injury where you go, okay, I don't see it, because it feels like after Hunter. Right, and I know Drew was talking about, like, oh yeah, Barron might go before Will Johnson, and if you're a Green Bay fan, you got to love that, because I think Green Bay especially is like, no, Barron's a slot player, and we're probably not interested, even though I think I wouldn't be opposed to being interested in any slot players, at any point in this draft, honestly, if you think they're the best on the board, because it'd be great to be able to push someone like Bullard in the slot if that's where he's going to stay. But it's certainly, like, again, Will Johnson, Valentine or Hobbs, or however you want to structure those 3 guys when you're a nickel, like, and Bullard, if it is, like, that is going to create a massive strength of the back end. And like, oh yes, here we go. Like, this is either A, going to help the pass rush out, right? Or B, it's going to get to a point where QBs are going to be standing back there, and you're at least going to be able to get, some sort of pressure at some point to cleanups, right, and all that. But also, if you trust all of these guys on the back end, with Will Johnson coming into the room, it's like, oh no, we're Quay and Edge. No, we're sending both. Like, have fun, good luck, like all of that. And so that makes it, I think, much more interesting. And I know, Ja, obviously, if he goes, that sucks. And I love the player, was truly geeked when they picked him. It just hasn't with the injuries, right? And that's been tough. And obviously, I know a lot of people are going to point to other stuff as well, but like, if Will Johnson comes in, like, that secondary's fantastic.
And then, like, so to add on to that point, I've often joked, the worst player you can be in Green Bay is a guy on a contract extension who has any sort of slippage in production, is like, this fan base, for as much as they say like we're loyal, we love our players, blah blah blah, and all that kind of crap,
Yeah.
the amount of people who flippantly and just like without shame said Clay Matthews was stealing money from the team, things like to that nature and stuff. And it's like, sure, like he had not the career down the back end. I know some will make the HGH jokes and stuff like that, but it's like,
sure,
it's still a guy who had almost 100. He is the Green Bay career sack holder. And Ja falls into a similar category. And, you know, like we talked about with Musgrave, like, it's not like Ja keeps, you know, it's not Watson or even Clay where it's like, fix your goddamn hamstrings. It's like, he got run over by a fucking Coke machine, the first injury. He had the couple, or last year was the first year where it was like, okay, like it's a bunch of soft tissue stuff, the back injury and stuff. And then this year it's like, shit, we all thought he blew his knee out in Jacksonville. Like,
yeah,
and
for sure.
The thing is like, okay, like everyone's upset about the attitude, blah, blah, blah. I hate to tell you, but any good cornerback they have is going to have some kind of that ego. Like,
yeah,
we all
like Packers the only one that doesn't is Surtain. Like he's the only one I think that doesn't talk crap as a corner that's really good. Like that's it.
Right.
Everybody else is like, going to.
Right. And the angle I'll push to that is like everyone loves Charles Woodson because we won the Super Bowl and he won Defensive Player of the Year. If we don't win the Super Bowl, people are like, well, that was a bust. Like, you know, like it's all that kind of same crap. So, and then going back to Will Johnson, the one thing I know some people were like, well, what if, you know, his long speed, all that kind of stuff. The one thing I'll say about Will is at worst, you're going to get a Malcolm Jenkins career out of that guy. Like if he, for whatever reason, and I do think he'll stick at perimeter corner, but if he can't stay out there, you're going to get, he's physical, he tackles well, you can blitz him. You'll get a Malcolm Jenkins like player out of him. And going back to your point about Barron,
and Hobbs can play outside, and then we have that's part of the reason you bring this guy in free agency. It's like, it can cap stuff, but
the one thing, like even to the Barron talk is like, he doesn't fit the mold of what we picked for a perimeter corner, and I don't know how to weigh this because I don't know how long he'll be here, but Hafley is the coordinator where I'm like, I trust him to put these guys in the spots that they need to be in.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I don't know how long that'll last if you believe all of the talk about how many interview opportunities he had coming out of this season, the seriousness of those and stuff. But for as long as it's there, give him whatever, give him all the ingredients in the pantry, as Bill Parcells would say, and let's ride the wave while we can. So
for sure.
Let it go kind of thing. Just let it rip.
Oh yeah. And obviously to the Loveland point, you brought him up, like, like you take a tight end in the first. And I think Max Toscano's pointed this out. He's got a Substack, Remember the Tight Ends. And if you just look at like the first round tight ends, right? And it's like, okay, who's been successful, who isn't? Can you block? Yes? No. Check yes or no. If it's no, we've got a problem. Noah Fant, Dalton Kincaid, right? Evan Ingram, again, was good enough as a receiver that it kind of outweighed it, but even then he still had his moments, at Mississippi, right? Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
And early in the Giants' career where you're like, he's working low to high. He's actually giving as much effort as he can. The O.J. Howards, he was too stiff. And it's just, okay, like, if you're stiff and you're tall, that's not ideal. No, thank you. Kyle Pitts, it was kind of a weird situation where you almost have to try and play him at, like, X-receiver and, like, do all this stuff. But obviously he was a superb talent. But, again, injuries have certainly made him sapped a little bit of juice from him as well. It's like, so if you can't block, you better be Brock Bowers, buddy, or we're out of here. Like, we're not doing that. Like, Brock Bowers could route people up with slant routes all day, route up corners with it. Like, he's just that special. So when you get to the Tyler Warrens and the Lovelands, like, they block. Like, they're going to lose reps for sure because, again, they're not refined. They're not putting the NFL strength on. I think Loveland can certainly add to the frame, which is another big plus. He's already up at 248, and I think you could get him over to the 250 line if you really wanted to. And because Loveland, and I kind of talked about this in the video I did, like, as that formation adjuster, that F that Sean Payton had talked about, right? Of like, hey, we can move him to outside receiver. We can keep him in the slot, but we can also motion him in, attach him to the line. And now what are you going to do when we run the ball when you got light personnel out there? The Loveland for Green Bay will allow them to live in the blurred lines between 11 and 12 personnel and eat you alive. And that's what I love. And the Musgrave thing is tough because I think as a blocker, if you allowed him to do the wide zone stuff of getting to the ancillary pieces and using the quickness that he had, right, like that will work. But now Green Bay has started to do a little bit of both, right? They're getting vertical. They're punching you in the mouth. Like with, these bigger guards are coming in and here we go. So it would be very beneficial to have two tight ends who could block and also be good at receiver. And that's why I was big on Kraft. And it's nice that this is kind of like, oh, this is why I'm seeing it this way. And a lot of this guy's perspective, like I talked about, of like, oh yeah, this is why I had Kraft over a guy like Musgrave, because he shows you like he can attach himself to the line and be successful. And when you have both guys do this, and obviously Kraft is such a yak threat, he feels like the smoother version of Warren, where he wants to run through your face, and you have both of those guys on your team. I don't care who the wide receiver one is. You got two of them. They're playing in line tight end. Like, who cares at this point? So you have like to me, a probably a better version of Ingram who can block, right, in Loveland. And then you have your sort of maybe Trey McBride plus as a blocker type, and you have both of those guys on the same team. Good luck. Have fun. Like, you're not gonna have a good time, buddy. Like, it would really help them. Truly.
Yeah. And like, we had Dusty Evely on. Always love talking football with Dusty, but we had him to do our tight end position group. And the thing that he correctly pointed out about Warren and
Here we go.
Now the party can start.
Yes, it can.
Hey, on the dot, he's here.
Here we go. Yeah, he did say. But yeah, Brian, we're talking about how Loveland would change this offense and blur the 11 and 12 personnel lines if they went that direction, But go ahead, Mike. You're talking about Dusty and that.
Just run three tight end sets.
Yeah.
Run 13.
Arizona did it at the end of 23, and they were just
they don't need a number one wide receiver. They just got the three tight ends.
Yeah.
And then
it's Loveland essentially.
You just use Reed like they used Cobb in his best season, where it's like you run student body left with all your deep threats, and you just like go run in the dead zone over there and drop the ball.
There it is. Yes, exactly.
So
exactly. But go ahead. You're talking to Dusty.
And then adding tight ends, it like the thing that it would do, and Dusty kind of touched on it, is like the thing that Love really likes to do is he likes to throw over the middle. And it's like, okay, the passing windows are tighter.
The
passing windows are tighter. The picture is messier. So give him all the 6'5" long arm dudes that are like, just put it in the. Loveland showed this on film. Kraft has shown this. Musgrave is probably the least consistent at this, but it's like, if you put it in the zip
coordination
code,
issue, maybe.
Yeah, put this in the zip code. And
perhaps
the main thing for Musgrave I just need to see is he just needs to be better about fighting for the ball. When even if he's like, I'm not gonna get to it, he kind of has that. Hey, I know what it's like when you're over the middle and you're like, is that even for me? And it's like, oh yeah, shit, it was for you, and now it's going to a linebacker kind of thing. So, but like, you just open up this window of possibilities, and then, like I said, and then you have, whether it's Reed or you're using, if he makes the team, you use Mecole Hardman out of the backfield or something like that.
Sure.
Like, LaFleur can go into his evil workshop and do all of his stuff that he's wanted to do. And, no offense to Ben Sims, but I'll take the guy who needs to work on his blocking but has the receiving upside to go with the other guys they've got on roster. And, can, like I said, at worst, you're looking at Warren and Loveland, and it's like, can you do the shit that we wanted DeGuara to do? Like that honestly, if they pick either of those guys, like, I think that's the role they'd start, because Kraft is your Y. And then it's like you said, the detached F stuff. It's like, all right, like, you're going to start as the fullback. We're going to motion you. And the good thing with both those guys, it's like they did that in college. It's not like oh shit, like they never did that before. Yeah. And why, and Dusty's day two crush is convincing Groot that like just fucking draft Fannin and just let LaFleur to figure it out and stuff. And it's for the same reason where it's he played that role. And with regards to Fannin, he's a mid-major guy, but I always appreciate with mid-major guys, you see their team play upper competition, their whole side of the ball is made out of only their, and Fannin is the shining example.
They're going to him.
Obviously.
Dusty joked, it's like, I think it was the Penn State game where it's like, all right, we're going to throw it, we're going to hand it off, and then you're going to throw it on the third play. And we're just going to say, fuck it, we have no other choice, but it's going to you, big dog. And
hey, you going to Tyler Warren people? We'll Tyler Warren you. That's it.
And he was successful.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah. And he still had like 12 catches, 170-something yards, and a touchdown or whatever. So, you know what? Like, I'll take it. So, and like I said, Fannin's not a first-round guy, but that is like if they go in a different direction, go take that guy in the second or third round. So, like I do think this draft is going to be weird in a good way, like if that makes sense for Green Bay.
Yeah. Oh, Brian, anyone like at the top if you're listening round one, Mike's got all the Michigan guys out of the way, so you don't even have to go that direction. That's great news for you. You could take it elsewhere. I know we've got some folks with some concerns if you want to address that first. But Adam's got some concerns. I think you could quell those pretty quickly if you want on your journey here of like first round favorites as well.
Well, yeah, we know they're not going to take.
Oh, Brian's going to have to take his puppy out in the back. I'm kidding. Don't cancel us, Peter.
Gosh, Mike, we're just starting this thing up, man, over here.
We should rename this Derailed.
Maybe. This might have to go over on that network as well. Right. We'll see. But Brian, the floor is yours. Favorites of round one, or you could take Adam's question. You can do both. The floor is yours.
We can do both. We'll mix it up here.
Okay.
This is open-ended, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course, you guys know I've talked about it a million times. It's Harmon basically the first round for me for Green Bay.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking that he may not be there. There's a possibility he may not be there because some people talking about him going like the Niners and some other teams and stuff that could use him. So he may not be there. If he's not there, I would probably rather trade down because I don't know. I mean, what's going to be unless someone else slips, but I don't know who else would slip that would fit and that would take.
Yeah.
I don't still see a point in taking a first round edge this year. I mean, because if you do that, at least to me, you're basically saying, we're kind of giving up on Van Ness. He's just going to be a rotational guy who we just drafted like 2 years ago at 13 or whatever. So, and he hasn't even gotten a chance to start yet. So, I think they give him at least one more year, and give him a year to start, and then if he still kind of sucks, then you move on or draft someone in the first round next year. But so that's why I kind of don't think they'll take an edge rusher, and I don't think anybody will be there. That'll be there at 23 will be really worth it. As far as that, if it's the thresholds and all that stuff.
Sure.
So, I mean, to me, it's basically like Harmon or bust. So I just don't know, like, who else is going to be there. Like, I know people are trying to say Will Johnson, but I don't think Will Johnson's going to make it there.
Yeah, we didn't. Nobody said that. Nobody said that here yet.
I've been doing the dance.
But nobody said that.
I've been doing the dance, but all I've gotten is flash flood rains for the last 12 hours. So I must be doing the wrong one.
But
We'll flip that up for Harmon next week. Yeah.
I've seen Packers content creators being like, oh yeah, like Will Johnson and this and that. I'm just like, like I know like he's quote unquote slipping a little bit, but like I just don't see him slipping all the way to 23.
It's hard to imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's just too good. Like like he's not a 4-4 guy, but like he doesn't need to be. He's so good. Like and like people were like, oh, like he ran like a 4.6. I'm like, nah, he's not 4.6 on film. Like,
no, he's faster than Thomas. I think
probably, yeah. Like I figure like 4.55, 4.54.
Yeah.
It's kind of that range. Like,
that's fine. You don't have to worry. By the time someone stacks him, Edgerrin Cooper's going to be in the lap of the QB. We're fine. So
it's fine. Or Quay or something. Or
Gold. We're good. Oh, for sure.
But yeah, like I just, it's just a weird year. It's hard to figure out what's going to happen at 23 or who's going to be there besides like I said, who would make sense other than Harmon, at least to me.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I know.
But as far as
Adam's very concerned about Pierce and Harrison here because I know Harrison's been mocked a lot to Green Bay at 23, and you just maybe kind of giggle. I'm sure you do, Brian. I'm sure.
Yeah, because I mean, there's people claiming that there's whispers about him in Green Bay, but like then they refer back to articles from like what was a Kuiper, like he did a mock draft, right? You guys saw that, right?
Yeah.
He mocked. I forgot who it was. He mocked Green Bay, but he mocked somebody in Green Bay, and then a comment he wrote, or they could take a cornerback like Harrison. He didn't specify Harrison, like, and people took that as like, oh, there's words that like they're into Harrison. I'm like, if you read it, what he wrote, he didn't say specifically Harrison. He said like Harrison. So like,
yeah.
And then the weight, of course, we talked about that numerous times. That's under their weight thresholds. He's coming off an injury. There's a reported sexual assault thing from years ago. I just don't. I don't see it happening. And of course, Pierce, locker room and his size just don't fit either.
Yeah, like where's he play? Like Sam, why would you put him at Sam linebacker? Just like sap him of what he can do, and just like no, maybe we just let him go to a 3-4 team that could let him attack, kind of.
Let him stand up and wide nine,
And then when we play that team, we'll run at him. It'll be great.
There you go, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's one thing Drew was asking, because I know I think both of you have kind of almost touched on it a little bit of like, will it be first round edge? Is that something that's possible? Right. Like, I think we know who the types are. We know who they are in round one, right? It's the Stewart, Michael Williams, like that. That's where they would lean, right? If they want that
Landon Jackson.
Well, there's that talk. Yeah,
it's not at 23, but
man, there's some stuff at 30 with Buffalo recently about Landon Jackson. So in that trade down, you never know though.
I don't want Jamal Anderson 2.0.
Hey, I will say at least Landon Jackson got Campbell a couple times. I have heard that Stewart tried to run through him like he does probably like everybody, and Campbell's like, no, you're not doing that. So, there might be a little flexibility with Jackson, but yeah, I agree. Whoever wants to take this one first can go ahead about edge in the first.
I think, I do agree with that point. Like, it's a little bit of both. You saw Rashawn turn the corner as the season went on. And, some people will say, like, do you believe the pressure stats and all that kind of stuff? But I do believe there's a lot of truth to him. And Lucas was one of the better pressure edges down the back stretch of the season, back third, whatever I forget what the line of demarcation was on it. But it's one of those things where it's like, and there's a lot of people who are like, the scheme change shouldn't matter, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yes, it fucking does. First off, when you play standing up versus with your hand in the dirt, your vision, like, it's like, okay, like if you're looking for, any of us with kids, it's like you look for something that your kid took from you and stashed somewhere. And it's like, well, where did they put it? And then you're like, oh, wait, I've got to get down and crawl around like where my kid's height is. And then you're like, oh, there it is. And so you're seeing the game from a totally different vantage point. The responsibilities for a 3-4 outside linebacker are completely different from a 4-3 defensive end where, and one of the things that everyone was losing their minds over is Rashawn's lack of edge contain, which is ironically one of the things he was really good at coming out of Michigan. Yeah. And it's like, well, why? Well, because you're telling him blow the doors off from a 3-4 outside linebacker position. He's in, as Lamar Woodley jokingly called it, the motorcycle stance off the snap. And it's like, go get around that guy. Whereas from a 4-3, it's like, why does it take so long? Well, I've got every play you've unless you're up 21 in the fourth quarter with like 5 minutes to go. You've got to stack the offensive tackle for at least a half count to be like, I got to make sure there's no run coming my way or something isn't setting up to come out the back door. And then, there's a bit of read and react to that and stuff. But so you're losing 2 steps off your pass rush. Any good pass rusher will tell you, shit, if I can't make my move in the first step, I've lost against some of the better offensive tackles. Yeah. And then after that point, it's like, okay, now I've got to go into my routine. And this is where I do think, and I don't know how you fix this, but there's this new trend where it's like you got to keep all your pass rushers at like 50%, or you want them around 50% snaps. But the problem is it's like with Rashawn is like, okay, I'm a bull rush. You want him to be a bull rusher. So it's like you're going to bull rush the tackle the first 5 snaps, pass sets of the game. And then off of that, you're like, okay, I'm going to pull through. I'm going to duck under. I'm going to do this and that. But if you're only out there every other snap, or you're only out there for the first 3 snaps of the game, you might not see a pass play. And then it's like, when am I setting up a pass move? And like I said, it doesn't excuse the lack of pressure from, the spottiness of how they got pressure last year. But that change in scheme, change in responsibilities, and the fact that, with Lucas, that's a second-year guy who learned a whole new scheme last year, relearning a new scheme this year. Didn't really play that position that he was playing this year in college, because Iowa was like, you're reducing inside and you're a 3 technique when we rush the passer.
And so 1 sometimes.
Yeah. And it's like the way that you rush from a 3 technique when you're a light guy is totally different than when you're on the edge. On the edge, it's hand fighting, get into the guy's chest, pull, shed, all that kind of stuff. When you're a light 3 technique, you're like, I'm just choosing a shoulder and I'm ducking and I'm going. Like, it's I'm here corner. Now and I'm not kind of thing. Like, I don't, if you give someone your chest on the inside, you're dead. So, and then to go back to the coaching side of it, if you believe all the reporting that, what Rebrovich was or wasn't doing, he wasn't getting technique coaching. So, you see the film and everyone's like, oh, like he's posting the same shit Rashawn does every offseason. But I'm like, what do you guys want him to do? Like, that's the kind of shit you got to work on. I know it looks really stupid, but what do you think pass pro set practice looks like? If you go to football practice and you watch old linemen practice hand punches, it looks like one of the dumbest things ever, because you just got guys sitting there in an invisible stool and they're punching a spot in air. And it's like, and it's like, okay, now on the flip side of it, for a pass rusher, it's like, oh, you have a coach who's helping you, but it's like, is he throwing it in the same spot? And so there's all these little minute details that you've got to pick up as an edge rusher, on top of the responsibilities of the position, on top of the other side of it, which is why Harmon is up there. We all like, I would take Nolan. Like I said, I don't know what the off-field stuff is, but I'm game. You hoping Wyatt takes a jump. You hoping Clark finds the fountain of youth and stuff. But the other side of it is, if you're not getting an interior push, it's like in a 4-3, you're kind of screwed as an edge rusher. Because
what are you doing?
Yeah, and that's why you've got to send one of Quay edge on every other snap, because it's like, well, shit. If our interior rushers aren't getting pressure, then you've got to shoot an A gap with one of your linebackers, and then it causes this cascading effect of, well, now the middle of the field's open, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So, yes, Rashawn, Lucas, Kingsley, Mosby, Cox, draft pick, all need to play better, but you need more time in the system, I think, will help. Hafley is going to put guys in better and better position. You get improvement from your draft picks in, you get Bullard, Williams to play better in their second year. Cooper is able to do a few more things. You're not just like,
for sure,
go do this thing, and you're just going to sell out and do this thing. Like, he's going to be a little more read and react. Hopefully Quay can pick off where he was before the ankle injury. There's like these 25 things that you need to help happen. Yes, the edge is the one that's the light is on, but it's not just these 2 guys got to play better. Like, that would be the most direct route, but there's a whole lot of other things that got to happen too.
Yeah. Brian, do you think it's possible? Do you think it happens at 20?
I mean, anything's technically anything's possible.
Okay. Yes. As Shanahan said, we could all not be here next week, as he said that one draft.
Yeah, a meteor could hit and kill us all. So, I mean, anything's possible.
You never know.
Yeah. So
one of those gamma bursts, those people talk about.
Well, but then we'll all become the Hulks. So.
Well, then we're all playing edge rusher. That's good.
Right.
Be a lot of tryouts next week.
But I mean, I think it's possible. I question if it would happen, if it's going to happen, of course. But of course, it's possible. I mean, especially if they trade down to like 30, 31, 32, something like that. And maybe there's no good other trade down options or something like that. Maybe they just, okay, well, the best guy on the board is an edge rusher type of thing.
Yeah.
Because they do need more depth, of course, so yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. It's unlikely, but I think it's possible.
Yeah, it's going to be, again, a strange first round because I have this feeling that I think now that the tackles are going to fly because just guys are not going to wait for that kind of stuff. Like, I think, the idea of Banks in the 20s is, I think that's a pipe dream at this point, just because with the Simmons health, it's kind of like, where's he going to fall? But even then, I feel like there's going to be a team that's like, no, we actually like need this real bad. So I feel like those guys are going to go. I think as we kind of touched on, like Harmon, listen, would love it. But again, San Francisco, Arizona, Cincinnati, right? Pittsburgh, even Denver could even think about it. Like they, very possibly. Seattle could probably have a lot of fun if he joined the fold as well, even with like Leonard Williams and company there. So it just feels like, and again, if the Nolan stuff is not smoke, then it's going to be like, yeah, like teams are going to go the Harmon route if they want the flexible player because Grant is kind of plug and chug, like put him at the nose, and like that's what you got if you need that. So yeah, it does seem like that. And again, maybe the Stewart athletic testing, as we kind of thought, is probably just maybe going to drive him out of the range. And then it's maybe more Michael, and yeah, it's just gonna be about who's the best of the board. And we're not gonna move up round one just yet, but I do want to get to the trade back targets. But I want to ask you both about Trey Amos because it feels like this is now becoming full circle. I kind of brought this up, to Mike when we kind of started. Of like, I remember doing a mock in like January, like a little bit after the wild card loss, and I'm like, man, Trey Amos, 23, and he's on there. And we've kind of full circled it because now it's like, oh yeah, here comes Trey Amos back into the first, and it's kind of like, yeah, but we haven't done anything. Why what do you mean he's back in the first? Like kind of that stuff. But he did kind of tumble down the boards and consensus stuff on a lot of the simulators where it was like, oh, X guy is here, so we're not going to pick him. But like, do either of you think, and whoever wants to go first can, like, do you think it's Trey Amos fits the style right of what they're looking for, and how would the secondary potentially shake up if they do take him?
Go for it, Brian.
Okay,
of
course,
do you like the player? Of course, you could always throw that in there.
Well, you already know my answer to that one, Jake. I've been a Trey Amos truther since he was at Louisiana Lafayette. And when he transferred to Alabama, I was like, "Oh, dude, he's gonna like start. He's gonna come out and And Alabama basically used him as like a slot nickel, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good. That's not where he."
And he did well. He hung.
Yeah.
He hung when they asked him to wear some hats. But go ahead.
Yeah, if I remember right, he started off his 23 season started off a little slow, but then he kind of like got into form or whatever towards the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then he went to Ole Miss, and they put him outside, and he had an even better year. So. Of course, that helps. So, but yeah, I've always felt like he fit for the Packers. He has, like we've talked about before, he has experience in multiple systems. He can play zone, he can play man. Some people have said they don't think. I think recently it was. Oh God, who was it? I'm forgetting who it was. Pack Day podcast. What's his name? Herman.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He talked about him. He said he didn't think he played to his speed. I think he plays pretty close. I mean, he ran a 4.43. I think that's about what he plays at. So
there was a rep of the Senior Bowl where he closed space in like an instant on a crosser. You can kind of see it.
I mean, if you want to say he's a 4.45, 4.46 guy, I mean that. Okay, fine.
That's pretty dang fast. I know we say it's slow now, but like, man, I
think people have totally lost what 4.4.
Oh yeah,
question. 4.4 blank speed looks like on a field. Like it's all relative. They're all running at something in the hundredths of a second. So it's like, I don't lose sleep over it.
No, like he's a 4.45 guy. It's like that's bad. Okay. Sweet.
Well, yeah, because we see Maxwell Harrison run the 4.3 or whatever it is. Everybody's like, oh, okay, so that means the 4.44 is slow or something like that. It's like, no, it's not.
It really isn't. That's why we get hyped when guys run the 4.3, right? Because it's like that's insanely fast versus like fast. And like I think I've certainly lost touch on that for sure. I feel like from off man, at a lot of the off cover stuff he closes really well. And I think he's recognizing stuff really well. He's peeling off stuff when he's recognizing concepts, right? You see him on a lot of those post wheels, like have a really good idea of like, oh yeah, QB's starting to look that way. I'm going to peel off, make a play. And so, yeah, I do feel like he fits, and it allows you to know if you want Hobbs in the slot, if you want to mix and match guys, if you want Bullard to not have a ton on the plate in year 2, maybe as he kind of continues to grow, that would certainly help for sure.
Yeah, interesting thing. Actually, I was looking at early this morning because I was looking because I was curious. Bullard played I think it was the 3rd most covered snaps last year of all the Packers defenders. Wow. I know, I was surprised. I didn't think it was gonna be that high. Because he was playing nickel, and all that. But I was like, yeah, he played like, I think it was like 480, 485, something like that. But yeah, he had the 3rd most covered snaps last year of all the Packers defenders. And I was like, dang.
Wow. That's, and they were asking him to do a couple different things as well. It was kind of like, oh yeah, no, you need to do this, then this. And like, it's like, yeah, that your head could be spinning a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was stuff he did at Georgia, but yeah, still, it's a big jump from the NFL or from college to NFL. So
for sure.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, Amos, love Amos. He's a fit, of course. He's 23, so he's a little bit older on the older side. But like, especially if they get him on a trade down, I think I could see the Packers doing that. Yeah. And then he could just basically be like the 3rd/4th corner as a rookie and just learn for a year, and then they probably let go of Nixon after next year, and then he starts in 26.
Yeah, that classic move.
Classic Packers move.
Hey, he's not starting this year in the first round pick's not starting this year? Okay. Punch that card, punch in and out. That's the
They draft your replacement a year before so you could teach him how to replace you.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, thoughts on Amos?
Yeah, I'd take him.
Yeah.
I
Love
think
that.
I think the 3 of us were all in the same boat where it's like we were totally fine with it, during the college football season. If you told us Trey Amos fell to wherever the Packers were going to be picking, and obviously, we'd hope that the Packers would do a little better, so they'd be picking a little later and stuff. But I was fine with him in the early to mid 20s. I don't have much to say because I'm kind of like, sure, long athletic corner, moves pretty well. Doesn't have bad hip stiffness for his size or anything like that. So I'm just like, sign me up, coach.
Yeah, I mean, makes perfect sense. I want to hit on this quick because I know, Brian, you were kind of talking about the Harmon stuff. I know Adam and you were asking about Nolan and your quick thoughts on that.
Did you guys already talk about it too, or?
Not really, no. We can. I know Mike briefly mentioned him as kind of the same type as Wyatt, and you can kind of that's kind of the push you make for it. But yeah, the floor is yours on Nolan. Yeah,
I agree. Same thing as Mike said. Yeah, he's kind of. I mean, obviously not the same size. They're obviously different body types and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was 296 at combine, but he'll play heavier. He'll be in the low 300s, of course. But still, yeah, he's a somewhat similar player to Wyatt. I mean, not the exact same, obviously, but as far as his role is going to be in the NFL, it's going to be a similar role. For sure. 3 tech, just penetrate in the backfield, create havoc, that type of stuff. So I just don't. I'm just iffy about the fit.
Because you feel like that it's repetitive a little too much.
Yeah, and it's like,
okay,
what do you do? Are you gonna rotate them at 3 tech and have Kenny play the nose? Are they gonna rotate there for the next 3 years, or are you gonna let Wyatt walk, or what? I don't know. I mean, I guess if they took him, that would tell us that basically they're probably gonna let Wyatt walk, or trade him or something. But
just mentioned it. Hey, coach this guy up. You're out of here, by the way.
Basically, right? But that's usually not a Packers thing to do that, generally speaking, unless it's an older player type of thing.
Right.
So that's why, and I just don't know about the fit. And I think they probably move Clark play more nose tackle this next year, and let Wyatt play more 3 tech. So, and of course, I don't love Nolan's film. I think I have a late second round grade on him because just the inconsistency with the play. There's just games where he's just you're like, did he play? Did he do anything? You're watching. You're like, okay, he's there. He's playing, but like he's just not doing anything, like, and like his explosion off the snap sometimes is kind of inconsistent. Sometimes he comes off the snap kind of slow. Sometimes you're like, well, is he overthinking? Like, or was the coaching staff asking to slow play, like, or do something else? Like, why is he like his? I don't know. Like, it's I just don't love his film, and like, the character questions from. Well, I shouldn't say character questions, but like the drive or whatever you want to call it, questions from Texas A&M kind of fall into Ole Miss. Where
do you love this game?
Gosh, I hate that thing of like, oh, I want a guy who loves football. Like, I don't care if he loves football. Like, honestly, like, there's so many NFL
money.
Work to get the bag. Like, honestly, I don't give a shit why you're in football. Just be good at it, please.
Yeah, like. It's something the fans miss and don't understand. Sometimes it's like there's so many NFL players that don't love football, but like they're good at it.
Yeah,
that's all I ask is like, I want from players from to work hard and do their best, like, and give their all. Like as long as they do that, if they don't love football, like whatever they do on their own time, I don't care. Yeah. Some people are like, oh, you got to be watching film 24/7. I'm like, no, dude, like they're human beings, they have lives and stuff. Like as long as they put in their work and they do their best, like that's all I'm asking for. And like that's all I think most teams want from guys,
That's why these things come out, right? That's why you're doing the top 30s with some of these guys, right? Like Green Bay had Pickens in, way back when, and then obviously Wyatt comes in, and they felt comfortable with that, and obviously Green Bay had Bond in recently, and that's
that's whole another can of worms.
That's we don't need to go there, but yeah, that's I think Nolan's highs are very high. Where it's like, at least to me, like where you like, if you look at him and go, if this sample size could be more consistent, like he could push his way to in my opinion, at least to like a blue chip of this class, because there just aren't that many. And I feel like the movement skills and all that are very top tier. And so like, if he continues to, be consistent more often, snap to snap, like again, in this class that we kind of call a starter one, like, somebody's going to have to be up there near the blue chippers at some point, and I feel like he could at least very much reach there. Real quick, trade back targets in the first, because I know. Listen, we could talk about Tet and Golden all we want. I know we could definitely have that conversation. If you don't want to, we don't have to have that conversation. We don't have to have the Buka conversation either.
Conversations we've had online before.
Yeah, for sure. But are there any other guys? I know, Brian, you kind of mentioned Amos as like the trade back potential target in round one. Are there others? I know Drew asked this as well. This can kind of, I think, fit in outside shot at O-line somewhere like, I don't, that seems a little stretched out, but like, any, and either of you can take this, Brian, or like whoever wants to go first, of like guys that, if you're moving back to 30, 31, 32, 33 in that area, who are you looking at?
As far as like O-line or just anything?
No, just in general. You can take the O-line thing if you want to. I feel like when I put that on the screen, everybody's like, I don't think O-line's, on the docket. So,
right. I mean, for me personally, the only way I would take O-line and then the first for the Packers is if like Membu somehow weirdly fell, even though he's kind of slightly out of the threshold as far as weight. But yeah, I would, or like Simmons fell or something like that, which I don't think is going to happen. But
yeah,
other than those, like basically those two guys, like I wouldn't touch O-line in the first if I was Green Bay. And I don't think they really
mine would be if you got into like the first 6 to 8 picks of the second round and your coaching staff is like, we can coach this guy up. I would take Connerly kind of thing. But even that's a stretch. Like, because then it's like, okay, what are you doing with Morgan then? Because like you sold us this whole offseason that it's like he's gonna take like
tackles.
Poor Rasheed Walker. It's like trade me yesterday. Like you basically said, like, we're laying the red carpet out for this guy to take my job. It's like, all right, you guys don't like me that much. Just trade me now, please. So, but,
that's a quite a conversation as well.
Yeah, that one's it's weird. I don't know what's going on with that whole thing.
Yeah. So, like I said, and that just brings so many other dominant. And like I said, you can't if they really do, like I said, I just use Connerly as the example, but if they really do love him and you can trade back, pick up other stuff and still take him at like 35, it's like they're going to do it because that's what this team does. But also it's like, okay, like what's that do? Because you just spent, all the money you did on a right guard or a left. I forget which side they're going to have Banks play, but
left guard.
Left guard because you're moving Jenkins. And then it's like, okay, so it's like, does this mean Morgan is back to right guard? Is Ryan what? So it's like, you don't want to like say that you have to pigeonhole your former first round picks in, but it's like, in a sense you do, because that's what good asset management is. And I'm never going to be the guy that's like, well, shit, I'm going to pass up the next really good left tackle. But it's like, something's not adding up if you're like, this guy is the one that we really believe is going to be the next great left tackle of the next decade.
Hear me out. Josh Simmons at right guard this year, but next year, stay with me. He's going to go to left tackle, okay?
Right.
It's like, how many times are we going to...
I'm gonna
at least Simmons kind of makes sense in the way that you can kind of semi-redshirt him.
I think that would be the one that makes the most sense for sure.
Yeah,
unless you're like, Will Campbell can play right guard, and we want that right now. But like again, is he falling? No, I don't think he's gonna be there.
Yeah, but I mean, even you can kind of the same thing with Connerly. You can kind of quote unquote redshirt Connerly a little bit because he still needs to add some anchor mass and stuff like that. So even you can kind of do that with him, but like. Yeah.
I think the conversation for a trade back. No. I think the trade back for first round, like who you're targeting in a trade back, it like almost naturally goes to O-line in this draft because it's like O-line or like if Kenneth Grant drops to the top of the second round or something like that. Because it's like the receiver class, there isn't that guy that you're like, oh, let's take Keon Coleman at the top of the second round or something like that.
No. Not one of those. No.
Yeah, no, like there isn't one. There's no Jordy Nelson waiting for you at 38 kind of thing. I think you're gonna miss Amos, honestly. Like I'd rather you just take him at 23 kind of thing.
There's a chance.
Like because to me, like if Amos is the guy that you're looking at 23, that means all the other guys are gone, kind of thing. And it's like you trade back, and it's like, how far are you trading back? Like if you're trading with Buffalo, that's 7 picks, kind of thing. So there's that side of it.
And hey, if you're trading with Buffalo, they might be getting Amos. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you. Like
Davius White, so it's all
I think they kind of like. I think they kind of like Amos.
Yeah, but so it just because of how weird this draft class is. It's like I don't know what other position they'd go back because if you're trading back, that means the edge guys that the high ceiling guys. What's it called? Stewart, Donovan. If you like Michael Williams, like they're gone at that point. Harmon's gone. Yeah, so the frontline guys that you would take on the defensive side gone. The linebackers, I don't know, could move back for Carson. Yeah.
I was gonna bring this up eventually. I'm glad we're gonna get here. But keep going, Mike. We'll get there. But yeah,
so instead of just tossing that hand grenade and running, but yeah, I guess the other one is
the water guy.
Yeah,
in the conference
I guess
room.
The other one is the one is your guy, Jake, is if they like Malachi Starks kind of thing, he's the one guy that falls in that window. But like I said, it's such a weird class because if you're moving back, the way this class looks is it's like you're getting an edge, or you're getting an edge, a defensive tackle, a tight end, a corner, because the guys at the other positions have all been picked. Yeah. So it's like, how far back can you legitimately move to pick up a decent asset that's worth risking that the guy that's there at 23 is still going to be there at 27, 28, 31 kind of thing. So it's like, like I said, this is one of those just pick the guy at 23 kind of years, and you can fuck around on day 2 with that kind of stuff. So, because like I said, I do think there are like a decent amount of, we go through this every year. There's only 15 first round picks. There's only 20, worthwhile first round picks, all that kind of crap.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel like this is the year where there are more than 32 guys, but it's like, are they all at the position Green Bay wants or needs kind of thing? And I think by moving back, the guys that fall, like there might be 40 guys that overall are graded as a quote unquote first round pick. But it's like when you move to back 7 picks, it's like, do all the guys Green Bay would take, are they gone? And it's like, well, shit, do we have to move back again kind of thing? So, yeah, it's like.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, where you kind of like, well, if this is like, oh, there are 3 blue chippers, that's it. Then we're moving down the tier and like it's starters after that. And it's like, okay, our team's going to be like, other than the QB talk of like, hey, let's Giants, Browns, let's go get somebody, back into the first. Like, how many teams are be like, yeah, I need to move up for this guy, right? Where it's like, oh, this is a player we really like. Where it's kind of like, oh, the starters versus not, and it's like, yeah, I mean, how many teams are going to be willing to jump up because they're like, oh yes, I want this guy. At this spot. So that's going to be the other, I think, tough conversation here. So Mike will be back momentarily. But as we kind of, I think, keep this going about the trade back stuff, I want Mike to come back in when we talk about linebacker. I want to make sure we still have that.
That's going to be interesting.
So I want to let's go here because I think this will be kind of a fun discussion. Brian, this is Brian's favorite discussion, by the way.
Of course,
for sure. Adam Huddle also bringing up just taking 10 out of 10. Nick Emenwari RAS at 23. Do you see,
that would be funny?
Do you see the vision? Is there a vision, Brian? I think there is because someone pointed this out, but I think there is a vision. Do you see that like, oh, this could work because of this XYZ type of thing?
In reality, no. just in fantasy for fun, yeah, it'd be funny for him just to do that, just be hilarious. Just to
that
see
would be kind of funny.
Just to see Packers Twitter meltdown, being like, "What is going on? What is he doing?" Or whatever. Yeah. Like, it'd be hilarious. Or just them saying, being like people trying to figure out, like, well, maybe he's moving to linebacker, maybe he's doing this. Like people trying to figure it out, would be hilarious.
Yeah.
In all reality, no.
if they take him. Brian, how do you structure the defense? Who's playing where? Just on it, because I think this is a great discussion. I love people's answers of this.
Well, actually, speaking of Emenwari, this reminded me. I was watching. There was a. Actually, I'll just say his name. It's fine. I was watching. So I like to get other people's points of views, right?
Yeah.
And it's this is kind of going slightly off track, but I was watching Andy Herman talk about Emenwari. And he's like, oh, yeah, like in the NFL, he'll be like a slot guy. And I was just like, huh? I was like, what? And I was like,
that's interesting.
No, like I know he played some overhang stuff, but like I'm like, no, it's not like. But anyway,
this is
I was like,
no. It's I mean, slot probably over linebacker. I mean, because of the cyclical shift, right? You can't play linebacker because I mean, this is the Dallas playing not Overshown. It was the guy before that who was playing linebacker for them.
That safety, basically.
Yeah.
He was
it's
like
not Overshown, and I can't think of who it was.
Overshown was like 230 or something.
Yeah, it was the other guy, and I can't think of his darn name. But it's like,
but
Dallas is like begging you to run on them when they do stuff like this, and it's like you can't just. Yeah, but
I mean. Could he play slot if there's like a tight end split out and covering the? Yeah, of course. But like that's
for sure.
Maybe 4 snaps a game, 5 seconds. But how they would structure the D? Geez, I don't know. I mean, I think you probably see them play a lot more middle field close. Strong safety in the box, for sure. A lot more.
Yeah,
and they just have him in the box. Play him as some nickel linebacker, dime linebacker type of stuff. I think that's. And then with Evan Williams, you'd probably, I don't know what you do with Evan. Probably have Evan be at the strong safety when you move Emenwari down to like the nickel backer type spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you do. That's the only thing I could think of. The only way I think you could structure the defense like that.
Yeah.
And then Bullard, I don't know what you do with Bullard.
You push him. Like, hey, we're gonna see something. Like, I think that's what you do. Mike, we're talking about how Emin Worry, if they picked him, because Adam brought this up in the comments of like how this is structured. I don't know. Evan Williams at nickel doesn't sound like the worst thing. He's at least physical and instinctive at the very least. That could, it could be worse. It certainly could be. Like, at least a guy with smarts playing that position. That's kind of where I've thought of like, oh yeah, if you want him still on the field, like that's how you do it. And yeah, because like Emin Worry to me, like, yes, more athletic, more productive version of Oladapo. Like, you got Oladapo, which is a great thing to have. We forget about this. We I know he's a day 3 pick, but you never know. But yeah, that was where we were at, Mike. Any thoughts on Emin Worry?
But I was told that he was going to be gone by the 12th pick, so I haven't even thought about it. No, but
well, there is that possibility.
But no, like I said, that's another one of those. I won't apologize for doubling down on a position if you really think that it's going to make a difference. I mean, I know you're talking about putting Williams at nickel, but then it's like, yeah, it just gives Hafley more things to be maniacal genius about. And
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, like you said, like Bullard, like nut up kind of thing and stuff. So
yeah,
like I said, it's going to be a weird draft class just because there's going to be like 4 guys that you thought were going to be there at that point who aren't going to be there because they're gone already. And there's going to be like 3 that you're like, wait, that guy is still there? Like, when they do, if you're on NFL Network and they do the like DJ's top 10 remaining and the top 3 are like, those guys were all supposed to go top 15. Like, what are they doing there kind of thing and stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be one of them years. And, yeah, I know it's the cop-out thing to say, but I just have no idea what's going to happen because I feel like this first round in particular, I feel like the rest of the draft after that, it'll kind of fall into place. But I feel like the first round, it could go like, it's the Doctor Strange, there's 14 million outcomes kind of thing. Because we're not even talking about like, the whole other angle to discuss is if Ja is in some sort of a trade that that deals with the 23rd pick, whether it's moving up, down, whatever kind of thing.
Like a pick swap, maybe.
Yeah. So it's like, how does that affect it and stuff? So that remains to be seen too. And like I said, there's very few positions where you're like, that's a spot where we need a guy. Like I said, the one position, and of course this is a draft that doesn't have it, the one position where you could argue that they're a guy short is linebacker, because you don't want to be running McDuffie out for a lot of snaps this year, and you have no clue what the hell Hopper is. And so it's like, yeah. So I'm tossing the grenade back in the ring.
Sorry, I did too. I put the banner up. It's fine.
Jake was like holding a carrot in front of you. You just grab the carrot, is what it is.
Yeah, basically.
He's like, look over here, look over here, look over here. And Mike's like, oh.
Yeah. I'll bite. I was gonna bite without the carrot.
I mean, hey, the shoulder injury maybe pushes Jahad Campbell down a little further. I know Tampa Bay fans are saying, no, absolutely not. They're not. It's not falling past 19. Todd Bowles really wants this guy for sure. But, like, hey, there are no guarantees around here. So, like,
especially this class.
Yeah, and so, like, Jahad Campbell, Schlesinger especially, right, getting up to 242, big deal, right? You're looking at, like, a very athletic player at that size also. Is this, like, hey, we're moving down to 33, 34, and like, hey, this is a guy we like, too bad, deal with it, like, type of thing. Like, I don't know, man. He's got some juice to him. It would make things. I'll ask you guys what you think. It could make things a little murky of like who's playing what at linebacker, perhaps. But boy, whoever wants to take the Schlesinger question first, go on ahead, because I think it's a very fun discussion. And one that seems like a lot of like fans and analysts on in content space are starting to talk about for their team. It was weird because I felt like it was going to happen after the combine, after the athleticism, but it's kind of now just kind of starting because like it seemed like everybody wanted Watts in the second round. You see him in every second round mock to like every team, but now I feel like Schlesinger is kind of starting to be that guy. Does he go in the top 35 because everybody's super interested? But yeah, what about Schlesinger in Green Bay? Whoever wants to go first.
Okay, I guess I'll
go ahead. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah,
Mike has to collect his thoughts about it because he's so excited about the idea. He's so excited about the idea. Yeah, like pre-draft was an interesting thing because UCLA listed him at like 225, and he didn't look huge on film. So my thought was like, okay, well, I don't know if he'll put on enough weight for Green Bay, and he showed up at 240 something, whatever. So he must have played heavier than that at UCLA because
That's crazy.
I don't see he put on 20 pounds in less than a month. So he must have been playing. They must have just not updated his weight or something. But yeah, him playing in Green Bay, I think it would signal that they're going to let Quay walk, which would be kind of weird since they basically said they want to extend Quay. It was like, yeah, we want to extend Quay. Then actually, never mind. Change their minds. We got the white.
Hey, Quay, you're gonna trade up Schwest and you're out of here, buddy.
We got the blonde hair white kid surfer from California. So
yeah, I mean it goes with Tucker and Van Ness and Musgrave. It's like here we go. We're building a frat house in here. Okay?
We're building a frat house in Green Bay.
We need the surfer dude to round out the collection.
Yeah, there you go.
Where's our sunshine? Right? Like we need him. Where is he?
I got that. I got the reference.
There we go.
I got the reference. I was like, oh, another one.
That's so like Captain America, the Avengers. That's so funny. That was perfect. Like I understood that one. Let's go.
I understood. Yeah, I understood that one. But yeah, Schlesinger in Green Bay. I don't know. Like, where do you put him? I don't know if do you put him at Sam? Do you put him at Mike? I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe Mike, but I don't know if his ability to take on blocks and stuff. I'm just not sure about that.
Yeah.
And calling a defense to having 1 year starting experience, like I don't know. I think, and you see it on film at times. Him just like he's just like someone did a breakdown about him. I honestly forgot who it was, but it was kind of funny, but kind of true. They're like he's just like a chicken with his head cut off sometimes running around the field. He's just like running around all over the place, like. But he's so fast, athletic, like he can make up for his mistakes. But you can tell, like sometimes he doesn't exactly know what he's doing. He's just like, I think I should go this way. Oh no, wait, I shouldn't have gone that way. Let me go this way. Like sometimes you can just see, like it's just not like it hasn't slowed down for him yet.
Yeah,
he's just because he's 1 year starter, and even before that, he barely played. So you see, like he's like kind of the opposite of what the person just also said this. He's kind of opposite of what you think he is because he's a former walk-on. Barely played this year, so he thinks he's gonna be he's gonna be this one of these smart, try hard type of guys, not super athletic or whatever. But he's not. He's like the guy you think that would be that 5-star that came in that is converting to linebacker, never played linebacker before, and he's just kind of it's just not clicking for him yet, type of thing. But yeah, so I think if they traded back and took him, I would think he's gonna probably start. But I think ideally he's a guy you want to be. Kind of like, okay, go out there, you play special teams, and we'll let you play some snaps here and there on defense early on until like you kind of start getting it type of thing. So like we kind of ease them into the defense type of thing. I think that's honestly if Green Bay took him, that's probably what they would do. They would start what's his name? I forget his name from Boston College. They would start
McDuffie.
Yeah. McDuffie. I don't know. Yeah, they would start McDuffie basically and just kind of ease Schlesinger in throughout the season, and probably like by the end of the season he's like the starter and he's like the guy. But yeah, I think you're basically signaling, okay, we'll put Quay as Sam, and then we'll just kind of maybe resign him, maybe not. We'll see where it goes, type of thing.
Yeah.
And what do you think, Mike?
Mike, what do you got on? What do you think about this idea? As the guy who kind of tossed it out there a little.
That's why I was laughing about ducking and running, because I really don't know what because like you said, the big point is I do think they like Quay as the Mike, and at the same time it's hard to tell what their intentions are because they basically drafted 2 Wills last year, and so I have no idea if Hafley's like, he really cares if anyone but the mic has a defined position, and he's just like, fuck it, I just want athletic guys who can run around so I can play big kind of thing. So it's really hard to say because there's just no trend, because like I said, last year you didn't pick a guy that looks like your traditional 6'4", 250 Sam linebacker who can drop down with his hand in the dirt and play edge every other snap, and then can also play in reverse every the other snaps. So you just you pick two like off ball space guys kind of thing, and and that's where I do wonder if Campbell would kind of fit a little more of what they're looking, because he's not that build necessarily, but in terms of how you'd use him, that's kind of what Bama was using him for anyway last year. Is it's like, okay, we're keeping your responsibilities simple, you're an athlete. And that's the thing is like, Maafi and I kind of talked about it last year, where it's like they're gonna pick guys that are can read and react kind of thing, or you think they would tend to go that way, and they're like, nah, we're gonna just take the athletes, and damned if they run the wrong way on student body right. But and the irony is that's what Campbell, Schwetzinger, they would kind of fall in the same boat as Edge and Quay would have fallen in before them, where it's like we might have all three linebackers running in different directions, but you know what? They're going to look really athletic doing it. So
you thought we could cover ground before. Wait till you see how much ground we're doing now. It's going to be insane. This whole middle field thing, it's not open ever. Like type of
we may make a mistake, but they'll be so fast they'll cover it up. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, like that's no problem.
One of the three, the probabilities say one of the three is going to get it right on every play.
The other two may be in the wrong spot, but at least one guy will be in the right spot. So
they're going to run
McKinney
the
has all the range in the world, so we're good.
Yeah, they're going to run the unintentional psycho defense.
Exactly.
Wait, McKinney
you don't know where we're going to be because we don't know where we're going to be. Like, we don't even know what this defense is.
You can't scheme for that if you don't know where we're going to be. You can't scheme for that. You can't
exactly.
Exactly. But I thought McKinney has no range because he runs a 4.6 plus.
I feel like that's what everybody's hang up on Starks is now, is that he's not a superb athlete. It's like, hey,
who cares?
What are we doing here? What are we doing? Look, all of them are like this.
All the best free safeties.
We have lost our mind because Kyle Hamilton couldn't run in a straight line like you ever run in a straight line on a football field anyway. Like there's always some level of adjustment. Yeah, there's always some level of adjustment. And so it's like, okay, well, and then the McKinney's right. I don't remember if Bates, I feel like Bates was maybe fast, but not, I don't remember his card, but there's so many of these safeties where it's like, oh yeah, they're not a superb athlete. Then you go look at the next gen stuff for Starks, and you're like, oh man, no, he is so fluid when he's like actually doing football stuff. It's like I don't care. So
I don't care.
Yeah, it's
like look at the film.
I think
he's not a great athlete like Stewart.
I think for Packers fans too. Yeah. I think for Packers fans with safety, it's like, yeah. And I think what doesn't help either is it's like we took that guy and and it didn't work kind of thing. And I think they let that cloud their future judgments. But it's like you got to look at, you just compare the film of Starks and and hey, I wanted but, because I was on the side that it's like, well, he's in the area and yes, his interceptions are tips, but at least he's in the sort of right spot. But then it's like he never leveled up from that. And that's kind of why his career, it looked good at times, but then it tailed off because people figured him out and he never really improved. Whereas, like McKinney, it's like Xavier was always that guy where it's like, no, he's not the uber athlete, but it's like, shit, you snap the ball and he's right where you expect to throw it kind of thing. So, you can't take that kind of, and it's hard to scout that. It's really hard to like peel that back, and because it's like, does he really get it or is he freelancing? And like, you can do the interview process, but guys can always say the right things and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, that's the part of it that's really hard to read. Like that's why honestly, I admit that I struggle with linebackers because it's like there's been so many guys where it's like I thought this guy could read a defense, and then you get him in the pros, and it's like, oh my god, he's stuck in the mud on every snap because he's just like, which way did which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
Oh my gosh, so true.
So, like,
linebacker is such a weird position sometimes.
Yeah, and that's why I throw linebacker in the trade back spot, because it's like there isn't that, like CJ Mosley guy where it's like that guy's a first round pick kind of thing, or a Patrick Willis where it's like that guy's definitely a first round pick worthy linebacker. And it's like these guys all have flaws to their game. We make the joke with Schlesinger and Campbell where it's like they're really athletic. Do I know they're going to run in the right way? No, but at least they're going to hit someone really hard when they get there. Right. And maybe we'll benefit from that in the end game. But that's why that is one of the like wild card. But that would be like a trade out of the first round trade back option, because you're like, what am I really getting here? Is it really like this guy unlocks our defense, or am I getting a total wild card ticket where I don't know if I'm scratching off a winner or a bust kind of thing and stuff? So it really, like I said, there's like 5 positions where I'm like comfortable with who Green Bay would take in the first round, and after that it's like, I don't know, like you can talk me into the vision at a few, but there's most of it is like, I don't get it. Like, I will just be sitting there, that Muppet character with the forearms, like, like, so it's one of them years.
May I interest you in a Travion Henderson? Since we've already gone down this, we've turned off the highway. We're just going to in the backwoods here with all these linebacker and all that stuff. But like, all seriousness aside, I think there are certain positions where Green Bay feels like they're 3-4 deep, and they feel like, okay, it's not really a guy you can add to the room here. Even though, again, I would pound the table for Travion Henderson to be their Gibbs, but at the same time, like, it's. You've seen how the Lions can bully people up front. You've seen how Philly can bully people on both sides. It feels like they have to potentially get better. Again, that's why Drew probably asked about offensive line, right? It's like, okay, well, guys coming up with extensions. You're kind of moving things around and all that. But it's just a strange spot to be in the 20s at this point, because you just don't have the blue chippers. That next tier is kind of guys where you go, they're good. They're good to very good in terms of first round players, and they're like, teams are just gonna pick them, because they're good. Like they don't. But I will say, because this guy, we get, I know Brian laughed when I brought this up like the first time, but we got to go here because there's so much talk about this. And I really want to talk about it. Brian, you do not have to. You are not required to speak. Your paycheck for this one said, you don't have to speak about receivers unless it's, guys further down the line that you like instead. But we got to do this because Ted McMillan, I don't know where he's going to go. Dallas is, something where it makes more sense for him to kind of learn multiple spots, and they can switch in and out with Lamb a little bit more. But if he starts to tumble, right, could this be that whole like, oh yeah, Ja is like part of this pick swap type of thing, and Green Bay gets up 4 or 5 spots, and Tet's still on the board? Is Ted McMillan, for you guys, like that guy? And then conversely, right, moving down, I know it's, maybe a mix with little Jaden Reed in there of like, where's he going to play versus not? But like, what do you guys think about Emeka Egbuka, I guess, is maybe what I want to hear. Now, Brian, you are not required if you do not like. But
I'm gonna shut off my camera right now.
all right. That's fair. Kidding. That's fair. But yeah, what Ted Emeka Egbuka, how what do you guys think? And I know, Brian, you could obviously have your spiel. You're totally welcome to do that for sure. But
I'll let Mike go first, because
there are options, right? We got to, we're covering some options, and guys, for those of the chat who are still listening, we'll get to some second round guys here shortly. We got to go here, right? This is everybody. This is like someone didn't want to go there just now. Someone's already angry that we're going there, but
whoever's listening,
for me, it's like it's to make the comparison to golf. It's like until last week it was like, oh, are you going to complete the Grand Slam this week at Augusta, Rory, or no? It's like this is the same thing for the Packers. Are you going to take the receiver in round 1 this year or no? So we got to do it. So whoever wants to go first. I think Brian said maybe Mike goes first, but
yeah, Mike can go first. He'll have probably more positive spin on this.
Maybe that's possible, unless we lost him.
And LaFleur,
oh, there we go.
Right or wrong, he has this thing where it's like, that guy's a slot and he's only a slot and I'm not going to really use him other than a slot. So that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know if I like Ibuka for Green Bay kind of thing. And I think he's a guy where, like, people point to like, oh, look what Lad McConkey did last year. Green Bay wasn't going to use Lad the way that the Chargers used Lad last year. So that's kind of where I go with that one. And then with Tet, that's the, like, if he falls to like 18, I think that's the way you get your wide receiver in round 1. I'm so like fickle on like them actually doing it. But like I said, and it's gonna be repetitive. Depending on how the board falls, this might be the year. And at least with Tet, it's like this guy fit, it's the Nico Collins thing all over again. It's like, at the very least, you're picking the guy that's 6'4", does the separating stuff that you like and all, and can be like, you look at him and you're like, that's an X. And there's no question of like, where is he going to play? And I know some people are like, oh, but he played the slot. I'm like, because that's what fucking college teams do, is they take their best wide receiver and they put him in the slot on 3rd down. But you look at primary 1st and 2nd downs, he's on the perimeter and he's running X stuff. So yeah, that's where I got. I'm going to try hop on again later, but if I don't, we'll catch you guys in the draft. Take it easy, guys.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, man.
And Brian's like, well, now it's my turn. I got to.
No. Don't. I was about to say, don't tell Mike, don't remind me of Nico Collins. It upsets me every time.
Yeah. That's the tough one.
There's
another guy getting comped to Nico Collins, and I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, we know. I was so angry when that happened. When they moved up, and I was like, oh, it's for Nico Collins. Mario Rogers.
It could just be. It could have just been anybody else. Like, my goodness. Anyway.
But yeah, I don't think they're gonna move up just because. I mean, even Goody, like they had the press conference or whatever, where they're like, oh, they're asking about like, you only have 8 draft picks. He's like, yeah, only. So like, he wants to get more. Like,
you don't have double-digit draft picks this year, right? Yet.
Yeah. He's like, you don't have double digits. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna end up with like 12 or something like where he's had before, because I don't think there's the roster space for it. But I definitely see him ending up with like 9, maybe 10, but I think probably around 9. He'll probably acquire like at least one more pick. So he'll probably trade down somewhere, whether it's at 23, 55, or whatever it is, or something like that. He'll trade down around somewhere. Yeah. So I don't see him trading up, especially this class. I know this is a class you trade up.
Probably.
Unless something weird happens where someone falls.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Unless something weird like that happens, which I don't think it will, because there's so few guys with first round grades. I don't think anyone's gonna fall, but there's always a possibility. So I don't think he trades up. And then, I mean, I don't know. I know you like him kind of more than me, but I don't really love Tet's fit in Green Bay just because what does he bring that's different that they don't kind of have? I mean, yeah, he's 6'4".
Catch radius, probably. That's the biggest thing, probably. But
contested catch, better contested catch ability, but he's not really going to stretch the field and stuff. So teams are just going to attack the Packers with cover 2 and be like, okay, well, we're going to force you're just going to have to take 12 play drives down the field and stuff. And
for sure.
Load the box up to stop Jacobs. And they're like, okay, we'll dare you to throw the ball deep because we know you have nobody that can run deep because Watson's out for basically the whole year. So
right.
No,
but Mecole though,
Yeah, Mecole. It's all solved by Mecole Hardman.
He can at least run,
It's all solved by Mecole Hardman. He's gonna catch. He's gonna have like 12 touchdowns this year or something. And
teams are sitting there going, we can't, guys. We can't let Mecole beat us this week.
Yep.
We got. This guy's keeping us up at night.
we got a bracket coverage on him. We got to go one under, one over the top.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then kind of the same thing with Ibuka. Like we've talked about before. I think he's gonna have a similar role, although he's a somewhat different player. But he's gonna have a similar role in NFL to JSN. He's gonna play mostly in the slot. I think he'll play outside more than JSN does, but I think it's still gonna be a similar role because he's got size and more physicality than JSN. He's a little bit got longer arms and stuff like that. So I think he'll play more outside.
Yeah,
but again, he's not going to take the top off of defense. He's not going to
no.
Teams are not going to be like, oh, well, how are we going to cover Ibuka deep? It's they're not going to worry about that. So
no,
it's not. I just don't see. I don't see the fit.
Yeah, Ibuka's the field vision, field IQ, bucket getter. This is the exact route depth against this coverage that we want you to run. All the breaking routes and attacking leverage from the slot. He's so good at with all of that. And again, yes, he certainly catches the ball better than a lot of guys did last year for Green Bay, for sure. Yeah. There's no question about that. He's obviously going to give plenty as a blocker. I don't know. The people were glorifying him as a blocker. I think he's fine. I wasn't overwhelmed with how well he was doing, but he can certainly do it. And the after catch stuff's going to be purely vision, I think, and just and spatial awareness more so than it is oh wow, he's going to turn a 10-yard catch into 50 yards, right? That's just, it's not really how it's going to happen. He can probably create 5, 6, 7 yards with how he sees the field, and I think it's kind of a similar thing with with Tet, where it's Tet is good with spatial awareness, and he's good with setting things up and knowing when to attack, versus super dynamic player. That's Gold. It's crazy to think about, but Golden's probably the most dynamic of the three, and I don't think you look at Golden as overly dynamic, even though he ran the 4-3. Right, and so it's kind of these are all solid good players. I think both Ibuka and Golden have immediate impacts in the league, no question. And Tet, I think, will as well if he kind of irons out a few things where he has to continue to grow to be the X. But am I going to be tripping over my feet to go I sprint to the podium? Probably not. Would I like it? Sure, absolutely. But this isn't the class where you have the Malik Neighbors, wide receiver 1, of course, and the Marvin Harrisons and the Dunzes and the Thomas McConkey, Mitchell, Baker, Pearsall tier, for me at least, where it was these are the guys in the next one where it's there's a lot of potential here. I think there are guys that can certainly work to that tier, because again, Ibuka's floor is so absurdly high when it comes to that, but it just doesn't feel even as we kind of transition to some of our favorite guys like Jaden Higgins, I think there's plenty to like, but I don't know. Maybe Nico's a thing, but I don't know. I think Nico's just a lot smoother, personally, and just I think provides a little bit more juice than a guy like Higgins does. But again, if they're trading back, draft Higgins, of course I'm going to like it. That's going to be fun. But I don't know. It is a weird receiver class where you're not tripping over your toes. Yep. Jalen Knoll, unfortunately, Brian, you could confirm this. I don't think he's a fit, right? Based on a couple of the things.
No, he's a fit technically, but but it doesn't make sense,
right?
Because he's a slot, and then they're going to run double slots. I mean, that wouldn't make sense.
Bunch, some bunch stuff,
There you go. Just all run condensed sets and stuff, and just you're good there.
At the very least, he to me provides explosiveness that I think they're a little bit more lacking. You actually see him running through and past guys, right through the zone coverage, run past guys, stack some guys quickly, and create explosives where it's that's much more interesting. I think Kyle Williams can do that as well from Washington State. But again, Kyle Williams in that 180, low 180s range, right? If not 180 on the dot, where it's that's a little lean for the boys up in the Bay there in the frozen tundra. So
yeah, that is
So go ahead.
Sorry, no, it's pulling my finger real quick. So Noel was 5'10", 194. So that's the size is fine. Obviously, the athleticism is fine. So I mean, his arms are a tiny bit shorter than they like, but I mean, for the slot, they're within range. So he would fit if they wanted a slot.
Yeah, and the short arms kind of show up. There's definitely times where press and like catch technique at the top of routes get him, and like when he's trying to block out there against some corners who are bigger, longer arms, it's a little bit of a struggle out there. But I do think there are certainly some Reed McConkey sort of vibes there with how dynamic and sudden he is, and the ability to create some big plays, certainly. But again, that feels a little redundant, right? Like to what Jaden Reed's doing. Because again, Iowa State, what did they do? They gave him some gadget looks. They're motioning him out of the backfield to run routes, right? They're letting him throw the ball. We got Wicks for that, But yeah, it does feel a little redundant. But I wanna hit you with this, Brian, before we get out of here, because I know you got just a little bit of time left.
Yep.
For those in the chat, I'll do a mock draft for you guys since I know you guys love those things. But yeah, Brian, I think maybe hit up, if you can, with a little bit of time here, just some of your favorites. Maybe you can push it to later day 2 and day 3, just like a few guys, handful that you'd like to throw out of like, yeah, I would like this, and it fits. You don't have to. It doesn't have to fit perfectly if it's somebody you like, but you can kind of take it obviously any direction.
Take it wherever we want, right?
Yeah,
go wherever we want.
Any place you'd like to go.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it was. I don't know if you follow him, but I think it was Nick Martin on Twitter who said it. Like it's a weird wide receiver class where you feel more. What's it called? It's comfortable with the day 3 receivers than you do the day 2 guys, because the day 2 guys have like these questions where you're like, maybe he busts, maybe he's really good. I don't, you know what I mean? There's like a bunch of day 3 guys that I like that I'm like, oh yeah, like I can see how he fit in the league and he could be a player and this and that. Like I've talked about him a little bit. I think I talked about him with you and Mike and stuff like that too. But was Andrew Armstrong. I think he's like a sleeper fit for Green Bay. He ran a 4.51 in the combine. He supposedly ran a 4.37 at his pro day, which I don't believe, but.
Oh boy, massive jump there. Hello. Yeah,
but I mean, I think he probably plays about what he ran a 4.51. I think he probably plays about that speed, maybe a touch faster, but around there. But what does show on film is his explosive testing. Sorry, you see at times him just pulling away from guys, and getting separation and stuff like that. Maybe I shouldn't say pulling away from guys, but getting separation and stuff like that. So I think he would be a good fit in Green Bay, actually. The guy who come in day 3 and just sit for a year and stuff, and could be developed into a starter even. We've all already talked about Jaden Higgins, so I don't think really much needs to be said about him. I'm just looking at my board here real quick. So and then, like I said, Andrew Armstrong, a guy I mentioned him before in our group, but Jacoby Keeney James from UMass. He's kind of a day 3 UDFA kind of sleeper I liked. He's about almost 6 foot, 190, but he ran a 4.37 at his pro day. And that speed shows on film. He's a definite deep threat. He's got the length to play on the outside, so he could play on the outside in Green Bay. I think he's still kind of a developmental guy. He had some pretty good. He had a 6.883 cone, which is pretty darn good. Whew. Yeah, so he's pretty athletic, actually. I didn't really know much about him until I saw his pro day numbers. Like, oh, let me go back to the film and check him out. So, again, like I said, late day 3, maybe UDFA type guy, maybe could be a developmental type guy. Kind of like, although he's not, I don't know if he'd, how do I put it? I don't know if he would make what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if he would make a difference on the Packers roster, but I like Cameron Camper from Boise State. Kind of a taller dude, 6'3", 200 pounds, similar athleticism to Armstrong, but he's a little more of a possession guy. So I don't know if he would really make an impact on the roster type of thing. But still a day 3 guy, like trying to think, tight end, they don't really need they just re-signed what's his name, so they don't really need a tight end.
There's a need though, but like, hey,
of course, right?
Would they like Oronde Gadsden by the time day 3 rolls around?
Oh, geez.
If he's still there, right? If he's still there.
We've all talked about Logan Brown. I think he's a good fit for Green Bay. Could be a good swing tackle. His medicals have to check out, and that issue he had at Wisconsin has to check out. But other than that, I think he's a good day 3 guy. Actually, developmental day 3 guy, kind of like Parker Clemens from Virginia Tech. He started at right tackle for, I think, 2 years or 3 years. A little undersized, 295, but could sit for a year. He's almost 6'7", but could sit for a year and develop. He's a guy I like.
They do like those guys later, right? The bigger, your Tenutas, your Joneses, like they kind of do take those swings. Glover,
Yeah.
right?
There you go.
Another one of like, okay,
there you go, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned him. Like, it's funny. I mentioned this guy last year because I thought he was coming up, but he ended up going back. And I didn't know it for like a long time. I even mentioned him in an article, and I was like, oh, whoops. But Preston Wilson from Oklahoma State.
Okay.
It's interesting thing with Oklahoma State. Like they move their guys around a lot, so all their offensive linemen have experience at like other positions. It's pretty interesting, pretty weird. It's kind of a semi Packers thing almost. So Preston Wilson, he's played tackle, he's played center, and he's played guard. So he's played pretty much. I think he's played 4 of the 5 positions.
That's
if I remember right.
Yeah,
go. and center is one of them. So it's not usually you see those 4 guys. It's usually tackle and guard. But yeah, he's played center too. But he fits better.
That's like a guard. Cooper Beebe type of thing.
Yeah,
I think he played at least 4, if not.
He played some center. Yeah, if I remember right. Yeah. So. In college. But I think Preston Wilson fits better as a guard. But he's got good athleticism. He had an 8.43 RAS as a guard. So pretty athletic, a little undersized, 295, but he can add a few pounds, of course. And like I said, he can play center. So I think that's a guy to watch for. Day 3 guy, could be a depth guy, and that type of stuff. There's another guy. Where to go? Oh, yeah. Another guy, another kind of sleeper for Green Bay, Justin Osborne from SMU, another guard who has played, if I remember right, he's also played 4 positions. He's played guards. Yeah, he's played guards. He played both guards. He's played center. He's played right tackle. But talking to a guy who worked for SMU, he said his snaps weren't very good. So probably not center, but at least probably wouldn't play center in the NFL. But he's got good size. He's a 9 RAS guy. So definitely would be a Packers guy to keep an eye on. Like I said, another day 3 guy could develop into a starter type of thing to keep an eye on. I'm trying to think as far as defenders. They had him in for a visit, but I think Elijah Roberts would be a good fit. I think they would move him to the interior and then have him bulk up another 10 pounds or something like that.
Yeah, it does seem to make sense for sure.
And he played at SMU, I think at one time. I can't remember which year. I think maybe it was last year. He played like 295. So he's been heavier.
That's wild.
Yeah. And if you look at his testing, he looks a little more like a defensive tackle. But yeah, he's the guy who could fit, who could probably honestly replace Wooden, because Wooden hasn't really seemed to work out.
Yeah, that's true. Because they brought in Birch too, and it's kind of like a similar deal of like,
Birch is, I kind of feel like Birch is a tweener. I mean, he dropped weight, but like watching his film and like his film didn't match up with his testing.
It's very weird stuff.
He ran that 4.67 or whatever, and I was like, really? 4.67? I don't.
Plus, you have him some insane reps, and then he's getting blocked by a tight end and like moved off the ball, and it's like, what are we? What's happening?
What is going on here?
Why aren't you doing the easy stuff and you're doing the hard stuff well? Like, what's going on here?
What is going on?
Very weird.
I named some Packers fan, right? Well, may or may not remember. Ty Hamilton, the other OSU defensive tackle. His brother was Davon Hamilton, who plays for the Jaguars. He was the guy I was really high on coming out when he came out. I thought he would be a Packer, but they obviously didn't take him. Different from his brother. His brother's like 320 or whatever it is. Ty's under that. He's like 300, but he's already a good run defender, and he's a good upside is athleticism and stuff. He can potentially be a good pass rusher, or develop as a pass rusher. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's CJ West. People talked about CJ West already as a fit in Green Bay. Nose tackle can probably give you a little bit of a pass rush. I think if they don't take a nose tackle, quote unquote nose tackle early, Zeke Biggers could be a fit on day 3. Could give you that that's TJ Slayton type role, completed type role. Could do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So let's see. Any edge rushers? I'm trying to think. I've talked about before, but I love Kyle Kennard. I don't know. I know some people don't like him that much, but
somebody brought him up a little earlier of like, just I think it was Ayers Joy. Oh yeah, I'd take Kennard for a speed rusher over Schwest. Man, the speed to power is actually pretty decent for Cheddar. Like he gets those 3 steps up the arc and he collapses it really well with that power. Like it's pretty darn impressive stuff.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and what's
I
it
knew
called?
it was you. I knew it was you. There's Joy. There it is. I knew.
And you look at his size profile and stuff like that. You don't think he would be the player he is, but like he's a speed rusher. He's got bend. He's got really good bend, even though he's like 255 and he's been heavier. He's been close to 260, but he's got really good bend actually. So that's why I like him a lot for Green Bay because he fits their size roles, but he also brings something different. So I think he'd be a great fit.
That is nice.
Yeah, for sure.
I think a lot of people are clamoring for that for sure. It's like, hey, bring me something different on the edge. It's like, yeah, dude, we could do a little bit of that. We could tweak it a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Oladejo, I like Oladejo too. I mean, he's been talked about by a bunch of people, but I really like his play against the run. Actually, like even though he's on when he's the backside guy, oh my god, he closes down, and he just flies down there, dude, and just gets that running back in the backfield. It's impressive. It's impressive. Teddy Buchanan from Cal would be a good linebacker if you want.
Yes. Yes. If you haven't seen Buchanan, just watch the Auburn game. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. My goodness.
Somewhere, hint, hint.
Yeah, somewhere.
Cough, cough. Patreon, cough, cough.
Well, perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Maybe the broadcast is on YouTube. I don't know. Could be. It's not the worst place to see linebackers, I guess, at the very least.
Yeah, not bad. But yeah, he's definitely a guy who kind of came up, at least for me. Other people liked him, but he came up out of nowhere for me. Like this year when he started producing, and some of the guys in the draft process for Shaft had brought him up. And I was like, I went back and looked at him. I was like, ooh, okay, I like this guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he'd be a good fit for Green Bay on day 3. If they want to possibly move from Quay, but like not yet type of thing.
Yeah.
I think I liked him.
Or at the very least, some depth, doesn't hurt either. Even if you're extending Quay, like, I know they brought back McDuffie. I know they extended him, but like, hey, as we've talked about the Sam linebacker, there's more positions technically that need to kind of be filled in some sense. And like if they want Quay to wear multiple hats and you feel like Buchanan can take over and do some stuff like that, yeah, it could certainly work.
And actually another guy that I think he kind of feels like a Packers fit to me is Branson Combs from Wake Forest.
Wow, a Wake Forest shout. We haven't heard many of those in some time.
Yeah, so he's interesting background. He's 6'3", 230. Where'd he go? I think he's 231, something like that.
231. He's heavier than half the linebackers in this class already. Love that.
Right. So he interesting background. I forgot where he transferred from offhand right now, but he transferred to Wake Forest this year from, I think, an FCS school. But his interesting background is he was a former safety. He was a safety his first, I think, 2 or 3 years of college. And then he moved to linebacker and he bulked up and he's tall, like I said, 6'3", 230, athletic. He had a 8.79 RAS. So athletic, ran a 4.67, 40, 10 broad. So he had good athletic testing. And he moves like a former safety. He's athletic. He can move well. He can cover. He's really good in coverage. He had, I think, at the FCS school he was at, I think he had like 3 interceptions his last year there, 3 or 4 interceptions, something like some weird, crazy numbers. So athletic, he can cover tight ends. So that's what I'm thinking. Like he could be a Sam, day 3 Sam linebacker there. I think day 2 guy. I think a lot of people talk about Demetrius Knight from South Carolina.
For sure,
love his film. He'd be an awesome. If you want to again move on from Quay, another guy you could play a linebacker. Loved his film.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, and then a couple corners I like that I feel are super Packers. These fits. You probably know who they are. I brought them up a few times
for before. Sure. One of them, I think.
Yeah,
but
so I'll get. Transferred there from Wake Forest. He played outside corner for Wake Forest, but Marshall played at free safety. But he's also has some slot experience, and I think he can still play outside corner. So I think he could be one of those guys that comes in, plays outside corner, plays some slot, maybe even can play some safety, kind of like what Green Bay likes. But he has the size they like. So, he's 5'11", 192, over 31 and a half inch arms. So he's got the size, athleticism testing. Yeah. Had a 6.76 short 3-cone. So he's got quick. He's got the quick feet. He ran a 4.4 140, so he's athletic, right?
Yeah.
Has the size. He can play outside, like I said. So I think he's a sneaky fit for Green Bay because I think a lot of people, what's it called? He's listed as a safety by a lot of places. So a lot of people don't think he'd be a Green Bay Packer. But he, like I said, he could play outside corner, he could play slot.
Yeah.
He'd be a fit.
Can you repeat that name? I think you might have cut out, but just so the people know who it is.
Sorry, JJ Roberts.
JJ Roberts. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, you have to watch safety film, but he has experience, like I said, in the slot. And if you can find Wake Forest film from 2 years ago, so 2022, he played outside in 2022.
It's probably lingering around somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere it's out there. And then we got two Tulane guys that fit, but one of them, Ransaw. Yeah. Ransaw, the chain. I think a good nickname for him. He's like the chainsaw.
There you go.
In the slot, that guy is a dog.
Yes, he is.
Love his film. That guy's a dog against the run. Like,
if you want to have fun, people, find some Tulane defense. Like, seriously, you want to have some fun? Like, that's
and watch Ransaw. He wears number 7.
You can't miss him.
Yeah, the dude's taking on tight ends, taking on offensive linemen, just like does not care.
No.
And he will get out. He will like shuck some of those tight ends. He'll get destroyed by some offensive linemen sometimes. I've seen him just get destroyed by us sometimes. I'm like, ooh, ouch.
At least he's not running away from it, He's like, know what? I can do this all day. You know what? I'll if no one else will, I will. I'll stand up.
He's like, F it, I don't care.
Yeah, it's just you could tell he's having the time of his life out there.
Oh yeah, truly. And again, truly. Like he gets listed as a safety, but again, he played mostly slot. This year,
begging for these consensus boards to just put nickel as a position, right?
It would be nice.
Finally, and you could split up. Finally, we put edge because then people were putting 255, 260-pound guys at D-line, like the combine continued to do. It was like all that. But just put a nickel position, guys. Promise. Because then you don't have to put him in one spot, and people aren't disappointed. Like, they're looking for him at corner, and he's not outside at corner. And you're like, where's this guy at? That's a little spiel. Sorry.
There you go. Yeah. No, it's okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off because the Tulane guys.
No, you're good. You're good.
Tulane guys are sick.
Right. Oh, yeah, a couple of them. So, yeah, but like I said, so Ransaw, he played mostly in the slot, and then he transferred from Troy. He was at Troy last year and the years before or whatever. But he played outside at Troy 2022. So if you find Troy 2022 film, he's playing outside there. But he did 9.75 RAS as a corner, but he was listed as a safety, I believe, on Kent Lee Platty's site. But he had a 4.33 40, 40-inch vertical, so you can see he's fast, he's explosive on film. Not elite change of direction, but still pretty good. Definitely good enough to play outside. So I think I like his film. I love his film a lot. He's not going to get you a lot of interceptions, but he's going to shut guys down. He barely got. And we talked about this before. His PFF grade cover grade was like 66 or something, like average grade or whatever. But if you watch his film, he rarely got targeted. He rarely got thrown at. He just goes out there and does his job.
Yeah. Love those type of guys.
Oh, cool. Love those guys. And then a teammate of his, Jaden Robinson, 5'11 and a half and 192. Pretty athletic. He's a little older guy. He transferred up. Forgot. I have to look at my database what school he transferred up, but he was a transfer up from somewhere.
Boy, let me see.
I can double check my database somewhere, but anyway, it's not really important. But yeah, he transferred up, so he's a guy who's got some pretty athletic, good size. 5'11 and a half, 192, ran a 4.42, so pretty athletic, good explosive testing. No real ball production, but still day 3. You're talking day 3. I mean, why not? Athletic guy, maybe you can develop.
Those are the guys for day 3.
Yeah. Another day 3 fit corner for Green Bay, kind of sneaky guy who hasn't got talked about much for the Packers, at least. Corey Black from Oklahoma State. I like his film, physical guy, 6', 192, ran a 4.35, pretty fast. Again, a little on the stiff side. He had like 7.01 3-cone, not terrible, but not great. Yeah. So he's got a little stiffness in the hips, but he's physical again, tall, athletic guy. Ran a 4.35 though, so he's fast. Another day 3 guy you can take a shot on. There's also this really sneaky guy no one's talked about for the Packers at all, but I think he'd be a really good fit. This guy, I think it's called Azariah Thomas.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
You guys should look into him. No, I don't think anybody's looked at this film or talked about him.
Yeah. Come on now. It's because he ran the 4.58 and people are done. They've flushed it from their memory. They're like, I don't know this guy anymore.
Yeah, they forgot. They completely not forgot him. They're like, nope, don't know him. Don't want to know him.
Yeah. So true.
And then
you think they still consider it, right? You think maybe not 23, maybe 54 is where they start to consider it, or do you think it's
or maybe like
further down the line?
Or maybe like a trade down, like in the upper 30s or whatever you want to call it. Maybe. I don't know. But if they do, I think they're kind of set at slot. But if they do want to get a slot type of corner, I think a guy maybe might be a good fit is Terrence Spence from James Madison.
The one guy who didn't go to Indiana with all his teammates.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Didn't make that.
Well, he was a transfer up. He was a transfer up this year from.
Oh, okay. Well, then that would be why, folks.
Yeah, exactly. So an FCS school again. I can't remember offhand which school it was. Maybe I want to say actually I want to say Holy Cross. I think it was transferred from Holy Cross. So he's a little bit taller. He's kind of like that Jordan Hancock type slot guy. So he's a taller guy.
Okay.
But he played outside. But probably going to play in the slot in the NFL because he's got 30.5-inch arms. Probably can play some outside as well, but probably going to play mostly in the slot. But a good athlete. Had a 4.5 240, so not bad. Sub 7.3 cone, so that's pretty good for a guy that's over 6 foot. So that's another guy. He had a ton of interceptions at Holy Cross. I want to say he had like 10 interceptions in 2022, 2023 combined or something like that. So ball skills for sure. And I think I want to say he had 3 or 4 this year. I want to say he had like 3 or 4 this year. And I believe he had a pick 6 this year too. So day 3 corner to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brian, before I let you go, I got one question. If you could pick one player to get drafted by Green Bay to throw the prediction head on, who will it be?
Pick like who I want or who I think is gonna be one of their picks for sure.
I think you can do want as well if you want to do both, but I would love the like. Okay, I think they will do this.
Will draft this player?
Yeah.
Shoot, that's a good question. Actually, I'll say Ransaw.
Okay.
I'll say Ransaw.
I was like, is it going to be the guy who put? Is it Pole? Is it?
I think Pole too is a good one.
Okay, but you think Ransaw? That would be.
I think if I had to pick like a guy, I think who's like a early day 3, maybe day 2 type of for sure Packer. I think Ransaw, but I think Esapole, from talking to people who know him, who have connections with him that have talked to me about it, the Packers really like him.
Okay.
If they take him, I think it's 7th round, probably maybe 6th. Yeah, and I think they may try and make him a guard, just because his testing wasn't great.
Makes sense. Hey, they love doing that.
Right.
We don't take true guards around here.
He was so good at tackle this year, though, so I think he could do it. I think it's one of those things where they bring him to camp, or he comes into camp, either they draft him, maybe he slides out and they get him as an undrafted guy. But yeah, because like I know they've talked to him a bunch. They talked to him at the Shrine Bowl and a bunch, and they almost didn't even bring him in for a top 30. Aaron Nagler's going to get mad at me for saying top 30, but they almost didn't bring him for a 30 visit because they even told him, like, we've talked to you so much, we don't know if we really need to bring you in for a 30 visit.
Yeah,
they almost didn't, but they're like, yeah, we'll just bring him in. So they brought him in with that same day with Ty Felton and some other guys.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think he's almost, if I wanted to say a guy who I think is almost 100% for sure going to be a Packer, I think it would be him.
Yeah.
It's like, regardless of position, like, or round or the undrafted or anything like that, I think he's like 100% going to be a Packer.
Well, there you go.
for sure.
So,
But yeah, like if you go back,
Pole.
if people who are still watching, go back and watch his Washington State film. He was really good at tackle this year, and he played left tackle, and Washington State played some decent teams. So I mean, his tackle film was really good. Like he didn't give up a single sack. He gave up, I want to say, if you look at PFF, I want to say he gave up like maybe 10 pressures or something like that, 12 pressures, like hardly anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like and also actually, if people want to learn about him, go back and look. I forgot who wrote the article. There was a Washington like newspaper article, website, whatever, that did a background on him that talked about him. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting background. He didn't play football until junior college, didn't play in high school.
There you go.
And then his first year at the junior college he went to, he didn't even play just because he hadn't played football before. He had to learn how to play football.
Yeah. Wow.
And then he started his second year there, and then he transferred up to Washington State and started his first year at Washington State and stuff. So like, he's super raw. Like he's a guy, like I said, I think that kind of shows in his testing. Like he didn't get as much time to train, so to speak. I think if he had one more year of college, and it came out, I think he probably would have tested a little bit better because he had one more time to train in nutrition and all that type of stuff. So I think he's a guy who's come to the league, get a redshirt year, and then by year 3 or 4, you're like, oh, this guy's pretty good.
Yeah, it's true. You're talking about. Here's right asking who it is. It's right here.
There you go. That's a poll. Washington State.
Washington State. Yep. And again, when Brian had some inside info about this visit happening. So when he mentioned that, I went to the film, had to check him out. Yeah, I mean, they still played the Apple Cup this year, right? They still played their Pac-2 game against Oregon State, right? Like they're still, and you know, you can hate on the Mountain West all you like to, but I mean, they still have some dudes out there like Hasadine from Boise State is somebody that's going to get drafted. Like they've got some guys out there who can test you. So yeah, I mean, it feels like from everything you've said and from I've heard from you, that feels like one of the guys. But you also said Ransaw, so that's interesting. Would love to see that.
Ransaw,
Ransaw's
not any inside. It's not any inside information. It's just more of like
you want it more so.
No, like I think.
But you do think they will.
Yeah, it's just watching his film and just seeing like that looks very Packersy. Like that, like again, like we talked about how he plays against the run and stuff like that, and how he's a good tackler. He's versatile. He's very athletic. You know, just all those things like just screams Packers to me. Like, of course, because I said that, they're probably not going to draft him because that's what seems to happen with guys when I'm like, oh, this guy screams Packer. Like they don't draft him.
There are plenty of those guys who do, and they can't get all of them, right? But right. I do, you know, like that possibility. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's much easier to go through, I think, on the day 3 front and be like, yeah, these are guys they could definitely be considering because again, we're 1 week out. We'll almost be done with 3/4 of round 1, maybe by this point next Thursday, and maybe this is about time when Green Bay picks or don't, or they move down, or you know, all that stuff. It's going to be trying to predict their first round pick is probably going to be as difficult as it could be this time around because again, there's just as we kind of talked about at the top of this, there's just so many dominoes in this first round once the blue chippers are off the board that it's just like it could go completely sideways. Right. But Brian, thank you so much for hopping on. If you want to plug some stuff quick on the way out. I know you said, you know, I need to be out of here quick, and it's been a little while.
A little longer, yeah.
A little bit longer, but if you want to plug a couple things quick before you get out of here, I'll make sure to put this in the description as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just all my writings are on Gridiron Heroics. I'm on there. I've been finishing up my final positional rankings. I got quarterbacks through, edge rushers out. I just have to do linebackers and defensive backs. Yeah, that sounds about right. What he said.
O-line consistency play, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, so there, and of course you can get me on Twitter, Maafi NFL, and then also make sure you guys try to buy the Cheesehead TV Draft Guide. I covered the edge rushers, and I wrote my yearly "They Won't Be Packers" article.
Love
and
that one.
Then of course Jake wrote up the wide receivers like usual, so check that out for those.
Yeah.
Trying to think anything else. Check out Draft Professors on YouTube. Yes, and then also on Twitter, I am on there every Saturday morning with Anthony Russo, who's a Jets fan, but we talk, of course, draft stuff and little bit Packers, a little bit of everything. So check that out Saturday mornings.
2026 pretty soon.
We actually had a pod. We talked a little bit for 2026.
That's right.
Yeah, with that Jets radio guy. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that more often. And we're gonna have summer scouting stuff on there. So we will have scouting reports during the summer up there before basically anybody else. So there's that at least. And then we're gonna be putting some stuff on the website soon during the summer. Some stuff that people will be excited to see. So there's that, of course. And I think that's about it. Just check me out on Twitter. I post clips when I can, when I have time. Once I finish up these rankings, I'll try and get some more clips up there too. So, and awesome. Yeah,
I am getting you that link. I think that's right. And yeah. Thank you again so much. I'm glad we got to do this, the three of us. Maybe, if you guys are interested, we'll come back, in 2 weeks or so after kind of the dust is settled, and maybe, go through these guys, talk about the fits, who the Packers moving on from, who are they, who are they training, who's the guys training guys to be the replacement, all that good stuff. That would definitely be a lot of fun.
And we'll definitely stream during the draft too. So
there you go.
You have to be there during all 3 days, basically.
There you go. Awesome stuff. Yeah. Well, again, Brian, appreciate it. Make sure you're following him everywhere. As I mentioned, I'll put a lot of that in the description below. If everybody in the chat's really begging, we'll do a mock, but we may just call it here. But Brian's got a jet again. Thank you so much, Brian.
I'll get ready for work.
Yeah.
All right. See you later.
For it. See ya.
Right. Bye.
All right. We'll run through it quick. Again, appreciate those who have hopped in. I know Drew and Adam and Ayers Joy and oh goodness sakes, Drew, Adam, and Ayers Joy. Is that it? Are you the only three that have been commenting tonight? Maybe you have, but you guys have done awesome. I know there's and Joseph S. I knew there was one more. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll do a quick mock. We'll get out of here after that. But yeah, tell some folks about this. I'm trying to do so on the main channel, of course, about like, hey, Packers fans, come over here. This is going to be where this is going to be. But as I said before, for those who are still over there, we're still going to be breaking all the Packers picks down over there for now, for the time being. But there will be some stuff over here throughout the summer, right? As on top of hey, still a weekly live show. We'll probably have some guests in here as well. But yeah, I think we'll have some rookie reviews and all that potentially over here. So tell some Packers folks about this for sure. And we're gonna make some picks here on the way out tonight. Listen, I want to pick Harmon. Here. I think we're gonna probably do that as kind of a last we want this guy to fall to this point. So let's do that. Let's take Harmon. I would love to get Weird, but I think it's just better off to kind of play it straight and narrow on this. Let's go Oladejo with the second one. So we got Oladejo and Derek Harmon in the building already. Kind of talked already about Jalen Knoll potentially not being that guy. It gets tricky around these parts. It gets a little tricky. I'm going to take Knoll here in the third. So three of the old Pac-12 that they're kind of bringing in. We've got edge already. We've got a decent bit at corner. Let's go Torrey Horton. They brought him in, right? I would love to take Kyle Williams. I just don't know if he's going to be that guy that they really like at this spot. We need O-line. We're going Logan Brown, of course. Makes perfect sense. This is something I could see again, other than maybe Harmon not making it to that pick. We're at 198 now. Looking at linebacker, I want Teddy Buchanan, so we're going to pick him. 2 Cal guys for the Calgorithm. Would love Rourke to fall to 237, but I don't think we're going to get lucky there. I do think they bring in a QB, but it's not going to happen at this point. We have taken receiver. This feels like a decent spot to double down at receiver. Let's take the guy Brian brought up in Armstrong, but we're going to take Gadsden first. Going to take Gadsden And I don't think there's any. Well, maybe we look at D tackle. Maybe there's somebody stashed down there. Not really. Let's take Armstrong. So there you go. Quick mock for you guys. I know. Again, we're going to try to keep people migrating over here, but obviously your help would be much appreciated. We're in the bottom 13% of Green Bay drafts with this one because we took Harmon. Harmon Oladeo, No Williams could be a possibility. Torrey Horton, Logan Brown, Teddy Buchanan, Oronde Guest, and Andrew Armstrong. Thank you guys again so much to Ayers Joy, to Joseph, to Drew, and to Adam for hanging out. And thanks, of course, again to Mike and Brian for joining me tonight. We'll have one more show here. We're probably going to go through, some scenarios and kind of maybe map up the first round for like Green Bay and the scenarios of that might be something we do next week. But keep bringing the questions and keep bringing more Packers fans over here, and we're going to have a good time. So, yeah, definitely look up Oladejo. I might do a film breakdown of his if I can get to it before the draft starts over on the main guy. But we'll definitely if you want to see Schlesinger, that'll be there tomorrow. And the Substack will have some stuff as well. That links over there too. So, yeah, thank you all for hanging out tonight. And yeah, we'll catch you either on the main channel, Substack, a lot of different places before the draft and during and after. So, again, thank you guys so much. Take it easy. And I get to say this on here because this is a Packers channel only. Go Pack